Hey guys, Dr. Ben here. Welcome to a Power Pack Brokerpreneur Byte. Get ready to dive into proven strategies for recruiting top talent, retaining your best agents, and skyrocketing sales in the next 10 minutes. I'm your host, of course, Dr. Ben Spears, along with our real estate guru, Matt Vi. Join us as we unravel the secrets to take your brokerage to new heights. Let's dive in. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Real Estate Recruiting Podcast. I am your ambassador of flow, Dr. Ben Spears, here with my co-star.
Cohort.
We're in cahoots.
There you go. Matt Vi.
Matt Vi. How's it going, Matt?
Doing fantastic. Dr. Ben Spears, doing fantastic. Ready to get rocking and rolling.
Absolutely. And this is a big one, too, because a lot of us, we're out there trying new things. Is this working? Is that working? Am I even measuring it correctly to tell if it's working?
Yep.
And that's what we're going to talk about today.
Yep.
How do you evaluate if your recruiting process is working? And we've got the master.
It seems simple. It really seems simple. Am I hiring people, right?
Yeah.
That's what people, right? Am I hiring people? Then that, okay.
Are people staying? Are people coming?
That doesn't matter. No, that doesn't matter. Am I hiring people? That's all that matters.
Okay, gotcha. Well, that's another podcast.
We actually talked about this one already, right? We talked about net hires, right? And but it's not just about net hires. And I believe in that podcast we actually said there's more to this, but and we'll talk about that in some other podcast. Well, here we are.
Look, I know you guys want to listen to our voices. Days at Mondays.
We should have called this podcast Some Other Podcast because we always say we'll do that in some other podcast. We'll do that in another podcast.
Yeah, every episode is some other podcast. It'd be really easy to keep track of.
That would. Some Other Podcast, episode 97.
Yeah, exactly. That's the name of some of
other
our other
podcasts.
podcast channel that we create.
So KPIs, key performance indicators. We're going to take a look at some of those, but we're going to break them down into two categories, and we'll talk at the end of why we broke them down into these two categories. But we're going to talk about some things that are critical, and we're going to talk about whether they're technical or tactical, and then we're going to break those down into some categories. Those three things into categories of either technical or tactical.
So we're talking about like the IT department and the Navy SEALs. What are we talking about here?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
That might be one way of looking at it. So you want to take a close look at some key things, right?
Okay.
And so one of the key things that you want to take a close look at is your time period. Okay. And so what I mean by your time period, let's take that from a technical standpoint. Okay. A technical standpoint is going to mean things like your year over year. Yeah. Are you tracking the year to date? Are you tracking, is your brokerage a really seasonal brokerage? Is that how you're tracking it? Are you tracking it just month to month? There's some people that are just like, I really don't care about next year and the next half of next month, right?
Yeah, I just want to track it decade to decade.
Yeah, right. Or day to day.
Right.
Yeah, I had some hires yesterday.
Yeah, it's been a really good day.
It's been a great day. So yeah, that's going to be the technical side of it. The tactical side of it is we're gonna break that down into really small pieces of exactly what you would need to do day to day during that time period month, right?
Yep.
So what is it that I could do that I could make a difference in over a certain time period, right? Because we want to make sure that we're tracking it. And also if we're looking at tactical, when we're talking about time and everything, how much time are you actually spending during the appointment process? How much time are you actually spending in your interview? Right?
Yeah.
How much time are you actually spending getting people on the phone to have certain conversations with them? That would be a little bit more tactical than technical.
Yeah,
right?
That makes sense.
Yeah, the technical would be how we would measure it, and tactical would be how we actually spend the time.
Okay, now, yeah, guys, I was actually going to ask you. That was going to be my next question.
Right.
Can you break these down, technical and technical? But you did. Well, now I don't even hear my question. So let's just move on to the next thing. I think we're going to be talking about resources, everyone. Right.
We can talk more about time if you want, and the tactical and technical.
Time after time.
So let's talk a little bit about resources and be technical about it, right? The technical part would be how much money is being spent, right? And time would certainly fall into that category as far as resources go on the technical side of it. We just touched on that. We've got staff, right? FTEs on staff, right? Full-time equivalent on staff. How much time is it that we actually needed to? How much time is our staff actually putting into this, and how much do they have that's allotted for it, right? Yep. Physical space, right? If we're talking about the technical part, the physical space matters when it comes to resources, right? Do you have a certain office that all the awards are up on the wall and you've got your recruiting materials that are already in there that's all ready to go, and that office is always that way? Or is it something that you got to sit down in the bullpen area and do your meeting, right? Yeah. Do your interview. So all that matters, right? Those are all...
Your awards are way more important than having an area for people to do stuff.
Yeah. So there's when I was saying awards, I meant awards for the company, Ben. I didn't mean mine.
Oh, okay. Because I've got all these last place scramble trophies that I really want.
That's only because your son hadn't been playing with it. Take your son out there, man.
That's exactly right, man.
So physical space falls into that category, right?
Yep.
But when we're talking about resources and we're talking about the tactical part, right? That's the training and systemization, right? That's your coaching, that's your accountability, almost like the intangible part of the resources, right?
Yep.
And so which of those are you tracking? So whenever you start having a conversation about, I really want to pay attention to what's going on with I want to have a recruiting system, right? And I want to make sure it goes the way it's supposed to. What are you looking at from a resources standpoint? Are you looking at it from the technical verbiage of resources, or are you looking at it from the tactical? Okay, and we'll talk about why this is important in just a second, right?
Yeah,
Again,
I can see how a lot of people would be thinking about
why does
these
this
things.
matter?
Yeah, not why does it matter. I think it's important. I'm all about tracking things. Right. I'm talking about like how it could be confusing when you're really breaking these things down of your time and your resources, and we're getting ready to talk about results from a technical and tactical standpoint. I want to make sure that when we get to the why this matters, that we also talk about how specifically they track those. Because it's one thing to say, okay, track this from a technical standpoint, track that from a tactical standpoint. Is this in a journal? Is it in a spreadsheet? Like, how are they doing that?
Absolutely.
And where do they find this information?
Right.
But
and how often do they review it?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's gonna make a big difference,
Yep.
right?
So let's talk about results.
Yep. So results, the technical part of results is X plus Y equals Z. That's the best way of putting that, right? So if I've got a certain amount of calls and I'm spending a certain amount of money on ad spend, and because I'm doing two of those things together, we've talked about before, having Facebook ads and having different things running for all of that. If I'm spending $84,000 a year in Facebook ads and I'm hiring 22 people, X plus Y equals Z, right? That's how a lot of people look at it.
Yeah.
It's not always that way, and we're going to talk about why it's not always that way, which is why we're breaking this down into technical and tactical.
Okay, let's not do quadratic formula. Okay.
Right? No, we can't. I can't, Ben.
Okay,
I don't even know what. What'd you
formula.
call it? Quadratrack formula, something like that.
Yeah, something like quadratractic, Nordic track, the Nordic track formula.
And then, so the tactical part of results is how many agents did I hire from Competitive Z? How many did I hire that are waterfront agents? What my company is, right? How many did I hire that have listings over a certain price point? Right? That's going to be more the tactical type of results that you're looking for instead of the technical type of results that you're looking for.
Yep, makes
right?
sense.
So let's talk. We've promised we would get to this point, so let's talk about this for just a second, right? So why would we pay attention to tactical versus technical? Okay, and then we'll talk about how to actually track it in just a second.
Okay.
So what we don't want to do is we don't want to use resources and pay close attention to the money spent, which is technical, and the time spent on things, and the staff FTEs, and the physical space, and have all those things set up. And then after we spend a month and a half doing this, turn around and say, you know what, we haven't hired anybody that's been a waterfront specialist.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because what we're doing is we're mixing at that point. Why are we not getting a technical answer? Or why are we not getting a tactical answer? It's because we're asking a technical question.
Yeah.
So you have to, it might seem silly, guys. I promise it's not. Listen to this all really carefully. If you are abstract about what it is that you're trying to measure, then any result you get will fit.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Or any result you get will not fit.